Hi guys, it's Myrna. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do something a little bit different because I told you I was injured, so I've had time for TV and to actually really watch it and not it be playing in the background. And I told you that Peacock now exclusively has Married at First Sight, which is one of my favorites. And because my friends haven't caught up on it, you know what? I'm just going to discuss this online, right? And I think how they put them on there was they batched them. I don't know. It's been on since October, but I literally binge watched them the other day or a couple of weeks ago. And just this week, they released the Decision Day episode along with the reunion. Back in my other video, I told you that I thought none of them would make it. And I literally stuck to that. I was like, if somebody says yes, I figured it would be either the mother or daughter duo, which is the first on Married at First Sight, Belinda and Jalen, because they're mother-daughter. I said one of the two of them would say yes at Decision Day. And then I thought about it as the more I watched it, that Belinda, I was like, because her and Chad started having issues. And I was like, no, she ain't going to stay. But I still thought that the daughter would stay just because her and her husband at the time was getting along so amazing. Lo and behold, this will be a spoiler for all of you who didn't watch yet. But during Decision Day, every said yes. I was floored. I was like, they not going to make it. I don't think any of them should have said yes in the first place. Should have been a lot of no's. Here comes reunion. You literally have Decision Day, then you have the reunion. They just put both of them out there back to back. Let me just give you some background on what I thought about the couples. You have Belinda and Chad. This is one of the older couples that was there because this year they also had the older couples on the show, which is something they've never had before. Belinda and Chad. The reason why I felt like they weren't going to make it, especially towards the end of the show, is because he was very aggressive. You could tell that he likes to drink. He likes to be aggressive. He likes to be the boss. He wants to be in control. And Belinda was just so sweet. And she did explain that she had issues in her previous marriage with control, and she didn't get into specifics, but you can tell there was some issues there that she told him, look, this was here. I don't want it going forward. I think he overwhelmed her. He just would say things off the rip. He was cursing out the production and cursing them out, using the words. Basically, I don't need this. Y'all all up in my business, but you signed up for the show. The cameras are going to be there. So what is the issue with you? He was dragging other couples into his drama, talking about how Jalen and her husband felt the same way. And he didn't even really talk to them. So then he was lying. Belinda looked like her nerves got really bad when he got to these aggressive behaviors. And he was just so cutthroat, so nasty. And you can tell she's too sweet for that. And I just knew that it would not work. They just was not the couple to do it. In the beginning, if he would have been who he tried to be in the beginning, they definitely would have worked out. But when those little microaggressions started coming out and he was just being nasty for no reason, I was like, nah. He may say yes, but she ain't going for it. Fast forward to the reunion, they didn't make it. Like I said, I knew that they were not going to make it. The other couple I guess we can jump to would be her daughter, Jalen and Josh. Now, those two I thought would make it. The only issue they seem to have had throughout the entire process was he seemed to always have to have the community to function. And I was like, why does he need a community? If she doesn't want to go to Burning Man or be on a desert island for 10 days or however long it is, why can't you just go with your friends? I just didn't understand that concept. And my daughter kept telling me, she was like, well, that's how this generation is. She was like, in her opinion, she's like, they always have to do stuff together. If you're a couple, you do everything together. And I'm like, well, that's just not realistic. Normally, when you're in a relationship, you have your friends, they have their friends, and you do stuff together, absolutely. But every once in a while, you want to go and do, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, he doesn't need her to do that. So that's where I thought that was the issue. And she stepped out of her comfort zone for everything. Homegirl jumped out of a plane. You couldn't pay me enough to jump out no damn plane. Oh, I'd rather go to the little skydiving ones that's in the tube. That's the most you gonna get from me. I ain't jumping out no plane. She went to Burning Man. She did every exciting, adventurous thing that Josh could think of. And he kept complaining, oh, we don't like the same things. It's not going to last type of situation. I think she even mentioned that. I don't know how this is going to work because he really wants somebody that's passionate about the stuff he does. And I'm not that girl. In the end, they ended up divorcing and he broke up with her. That part shocked me. And apparently they went out one night. He was talking to some girl. I guess they had already broke up previously. She already had some type of feeling about how the relationship was going. He was chatting with some girl. I guess he told her that the girl was 40. Oh, she's in her 40s. And the girl was in her 20s. She felt some kind of way. He was basically like, when we get home, you can just pack your stuff and leave. He got harsh, and I did not see that coming from Josh. I was absolutely floored that even went down like that for him to even be that way. Oh, I should go back to Belinda and Chad too, because one thing I forgot to mention is that his issue was that he couldn't sleep in the bed because of the dog. Now, I'm no pet in the bed type of person, and I feel like he should have just made that clear up front. I get it. You don't want no dog that's been outside, walking on the ground, licking his butt in your face. I get it. But he should have just said that. And he was like, he couldn't sleep because the dog was always in the bed and it was no romance. I guess he would get mad, go on the couch, have some drinks, fall asleep. And she's like, she would literally be taking the cup of whatever he's drinking, glass, out of his hand so he wouldn't drop it and it falls on the floor. That was a hot mess. Let's move on to the other older couple, which was Pat and Rhonda. Rhonda was very eclectic, very in your face, very full of energy, full of life. And Pat, not so much. He was very laid back. He was very cool, calm, and collective. And for a minute, I had to side with Pat on this because when Rhonda told a story, she drug it out. And I was like, he must have ADHD because I'm like, people talk too much. They not getting to the point quick enough. My ADHD kicks in. I'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Get to the point. She would never get to the damn point. Even on stage when the host was talking to her, he at one time kind of nudged her to get to the point in a nice way. She just talks too much. And I think for him, the more she talked, the more he couldn't comprehend because his brain just turned off and he had to move on. So he started talking about himself, which I thought was really funny and which really pissed her off. They stayed together too because I told you all the couples stayed together. I think in the end, he broke up with her too. They just were not compatible. I just did not see that. I don't even know why they said yes on decision day. I get people want to just see how it is when the cameras are gone, but they should never have said yes. They were two totally different people. So I knew they weren't going to stay. Let's go to Derek and Megan, right? Derek and Megan are the first couple in Married at First Sight history to get pregnant during the experience. They claim they weren't trying, but clearly you were if you weren't protecting yourself. But hey, that's a whole nother story. They married, right? They do what they want to do. I don't think they should have stayed together either. I feel like Megan was very much like her mother. And if you watch the show, her mother was very opinionated, very judgmental, never happy about anything, almost like it was her way or the highway. And Megan had a lot of that in her. Derek, on the other hand, was very cool, calm, and collective. He knew how to verbalize what he was feeling. He knew how to bring her down a notch to make her look, slow your roll. Like you jumping off a cliff and there's no need to do that. She was just very in your face. Then throughout the show, maybe she's like that because she was pregnant and her hormones are out of balance. But I still saw so much of her mother in her. As much as she didn't like the things that her mother did, she did the exact same thing. But they stayed together, I feel like, for the baby, just to see how it was. Reunion, they ended up breaking up. And I think like all the men broke up with the women, all of them. I think she said she got a text. Was it her that got the text that said, basically, we're done? And I'm like, damn, that was harsh. All these guys, your Dereks, your Pats, your whatever, it's almost like they just grew one. And they was like, I'm done. I'm over this. I'm out. It was the craziest thing. And by the way, unfortunately, she did miscarry. She did not end up having the baby. That was a misfortune, but it may have been God's way of saying that this ain't gonna work with the two of you. Let's just move on and start a new chapter. Lastly, we're gonna talk about Brittany and Will. Oh my God, those two were like a roller coaster. The thing that I did not like about Will is he had no personality. He was very one line, very flat note. Anything she asked him, it was almost like a one-word response. He was so willing to listen to her answers to his questions, but when she asked the question, he had nothing to say. But get his ass in front of that green screen and he had it all to say. And I was like, why don't you say that to her when she's asking you these questions? Why are you telling us, the audience? She's the one who needs to know this. That couple right there was just insane. I felt like she was very emotional. She was very the type of person that needed affirmation. She needed the coddling. She needed to constantly hear you're loved. I'm in this for the long haul. All those type of affirmations. And him, on the other hand, was very, I'm going to be good for the cameras. I'm just going to answer yes and no. But when his mother came around, his mother did describe him to a T and was like, you don't open up to nobody. Clearly, this is just his personality, in my opinion, is why he doesn't have a girl, because you can't just go around one note just saying things. And I feel like he just wanted to be seen on TV so that somebody can come flocking to him. The internet saying one thing, and if you follow them on the internet, you know what I'm talking about. And all I can do is speak on what I see. Those two were very odd. She was very vulnerable. I felt like he was really just putting on for the cameras. They should have never stayed together. Decision day, when she poured her heart out and everybody up there was crying, that was the most expression, empathy, sympathy, whatever you want to put it, that I have ever seen from Will. He has never given us more than a smile. Never. I just don't see him with nobody. Hopefully she finds her a man, and I feel like she will. I'm sure her DMs will be off the chain with guys who want to, because she has her stuff together. Not to say he doesn't, but he just does not know how to relationship. I think this was definitely the wrong show for him to be on. Again, another one, divorced. I did enjoy this season. I miss seeing the after show, because that gave you a whole nother outlook to what's going on behind the scenes. Keisha Knight Pulliam does an amazing job at getting answers that the audience want to know. And I just miss that. I felt like that was such a big piece of the show that's missed. I'm going to put out there, if Peacock's going to take over this Married at First Sight exclusively, they need to get back to some of the old stuff, especially the after party, because we need to know what's going on, what people were thinking. We see things one way and it may have happened a different way. I feel like that needs to be explained. For whatever reason, Peacock didn't pick up the after party. I'm hoping that we at least see it at a later date. I just want to know what was going on behind the scenes, because it makes me have so many questions as to why any of these couples decided to move forward during decision day. I just knew it was all going to be a bust. I knew it. I called it from jump. And in the reunion, half of these couples, Will and Brittany actually, was done after decision day. He walked out on her. Why would you come in saying, no, I'm done, call it, and then change your mind and then go? Again, he was all for show, in my opinion, for the cameras, so he wouldn't be put out into the internet world that he was a bad guy and he treated her like crap and all of this. So he definitely played it up for the cameras. I'm glad I was able to tell somebody what I felt about the show. And I may have other shows, because I do watch TV. I'm a TV watcher. Even if it's playing in the background, I just like to have TV when I'm working. It just has to be something there. And maybe some other shows I'll come to you with. But again, I told you in the last video, watch All Her Fault. Maybe I'll talk about that one too. I really like that show. Another Peacock show. I even watched Tiffany Haddish's, I think it's called Tiffany Haddish on the Go. That wasn't bad at all. I just like to see people with their friends. It was a family-friendly show. They did a lot of things in Africa that were amazing. And one day when I get to Africa, I'm like, oh, I want to do that. But not jumping off no bridge. No bungee jumping for me. With that being said, I'll be back with you shortly. If I don't speak to you, have a wonderful holiday. Enjoy all your turkey, your stuffing, whatever it is that you eat on that special day. And I'll see you soon. Bye.